Guys, the Sony WF-1000XM5s are finally announced, and Sony's told us some interesting things about them that weren't on the spec sheet. Here are 1000 reasons why we think these might be our new daily drivers. Or 7. Goedendag weer DHRME. Discovering headphone royalty, modest excellence. Now, Sony's always had great sounding in-ear buds, and it seems that Sony's taking sound to the next level with the Sony WF-1000XM5. In the press briefing we received, Sony mentioned that the driver has gone from a 6mm on the XM4 to an 8.4mm on the XM5. But that's not the part that's nuts. This is a driver made of two different materials. The central dome is a rigid material, and the outside of the driver is a softer material, leading to better treble and bass, respectively. Yes, it's finally happening. After companies like Technics and one more have been doing it for years, Sony's finally figured out how to make LDAC and Multipoint work directly on its latest earbuds. Multipoint still means just two devices at once though. And what's more, unlike the XM4, these will release with Multipoint straight out of the gate. No having to wait for a summer update.
The biggest knock on the XM4 was the comfort. Now, we asked Sony if the kind of tips it has on the XM4 have changed, and they said that the materials are still the foam-like material. But they did stress that they are a bit different and not the same. So we'll have to wait and see how much better it actually is. What does really give us hope though is that the buds are much smaller, which leads us to believe that these will sit better in the ear.
Sony used to have a software wind noise setting in the past, but that led to worse noise cancellation in general, even though it kept the wind out. Sony seems to be pretty proud of having cracked the wind problem on this latest generation though, and they're doing it through hardware. A mesh to be exact. This mesh ensures that the ANC microphones are still running on full strength, so you get the best of both worlds. And speaking of ANC, it seems that the ANC is a huge step up. Sony calls it the best in the industry, and we have good reason to believe that these will go toe-to-toe with the Bose and the AirPods Gen 2. 20% better than the XM4 is no joke. But you know what? Hearing is believing, and we'll get our hands on these soon, so stay subscribed for a full rundown of these buds and compared to many other premium buds out there. And when it comes to transparency, Sony also claims that these buds are about as good as the Sony LinkBuds S, which were a solid tier A in our book.
A gripe we've personally had on the XM4s and all other Sony buds is the fact that these buds couldn't do volume, ANC, and media control at the same time. We had to choose 2 out of these 3. Sony seems to have solved this, but this one is a bit of a downer because volume is controlled by, wait for it, quadruple touching the earbuds. Yes, you heard that right. 4 taps on the left earbud and then start tapping to turn volume down, and 4 taps on the right earbud to turn volume up. I mean, I sure hope it's customizable, in which case I'd change this setting immediately. But hey, this is already a step up.
And when Sony says that these are their buds for best calls ever, I can kind of believe them, because this is a far cry from the days of the XM4, which was, let's be honest, poor for calls. But every product Sony has put out after that, the LinkBuds, the LinkBuds S, the WF-C700N, the Sony XM5 headphones, and the Sony WH-CH720N, all have had stellar call quality. How do we know? Well, because we've tested them all out and made videos on them on this channel. And in terms of battery life, it's nice to see that although everything seems to have gotten smaller, the battery life itself seems to be the same at about 8 hours from the buds and 24 hours from the case. Fast charging is on board, wireless charging is on board, so all the good stuff has remained. It's not gone up, but we'll take it. And what are some of the smaller changes? Well, it appears that the equalizer is an unfamiliar concept for some people. So for newbies, Sony has come up with a new way to kind of do that equalizer or to get to the sound that they want. We didn't hear anything about a custom hearing test, which almost all other earbuds do now. Some other features are like there's more information about how well your ears have been protected due to noise cancelling, a lot of information on safe listening and hearing health, which is, let's be honest, it's a very good thing with all these earbuds that we're using. A smaller change is that on the Sony XM4, you had to hold down both earbuds to get into pairing mode after putting them into your ear. Now you have a button on the case for the Sony WF-1000XM5. Minor upgrade, and I think it's a good one. And those tips, these foam-like tips, they don't last very long. And someone asked if these tips are also available for sale separately. And Sony said that they will be available for sale in addition to the earbuds. And what about the semi-open or venting, pressure-relieving design? Well, Sony does not have anything like that on the XM5. At least that's what the representative stated when that question was put to them.
All right, in terms of pricing, we're looking at $320. Definitely on the premium side. So let's see what it brings to the table. On paper, it looks great. We just can't wait to get our hands on it and start testing. Bring you guys our review of it. So stay tuned. Put your comments down in the description about what you would like to know. What we did notice is that Sony is now really building up their collection for every price segment.
And if you already made up your mind and want to buy these buds, well, just click the links in the description or scan this QR code to buy the Sony WF-1000XM5. Help support the channel, you know. And thanks to all our patrons and YouTube members of all tiers, but especially these. We don't accept money from companies we review, so we'll never accept any kind of monetary compensation from Sony or any of the earbuds companies. So thank you to you guys for being our real supporters. You've been 993 reasons short, and we've been DHRME. Namaste.
So